Hello, this video serves up a contextual delight, guaranteed to hit the examiner in the heart with the force and speed of a Japanese bullet train. A lot of students love to make a contextual comment on the low status of women in the Shakespearean era. Therefore, this video will add a layer of level 7 to 9 depth to any link you're trying to establish between Lady Macbeth and women's lack of power in the 17th century.
Now, there may have been a woman on the throne for a large chunk of Shakespeare's lifetime, but late 16th century, early 17th century England was nobody's idea of a feminist wonderland. Shakespeare's age saw power and influence firmly in the hands of men, and it didn't matter if it was the government, the church, even the humble family unit, men had clear command. But how were men in control? Well, let's dig a little deeper under that sweeping assertion. You see, it was the rules, the written and the unwritten rules governing how people behaved back then, that limited female power. And that's never clearer than in the treatment of strong, assertive wives. Now, obviously, it would be a hideous exaggeration to say that unmarried women were living the dream back in 1600s England, because women, of course, had very little power back then, even with that queen on the throne. That said, unmarried women had a surprising amount of freedoms back then. I mean, they could own property, they could inherit land and wealth, they could even bring a legal case against somebody, they could sue them. But the second she married, boom, those rights disappeared. The husband is now in control. But marriage didn't just rob a woman of her rights, it robbed her voice as well. Assertiveness, being an overly vocal or critical woman, was aggressively suppressed. And so wives that nagged or criticised or had the nerve to question or challenge their husband's word risked humiliating physical punishments. Look at these pictures below. The scold's bridle, the ducking stool. These are tools of social control, of gender control. And women who were forceful, who were known as scolds or shrews, women who defied their subordinate, subservient position in the gender hierarchy, just weren't tolerated. Patriarchal society, you see, requires women to obey, not to question. But why am I telling you this in my role as an English teacher? Surely my patter here is far more applicable to the history department. Well, as you know, exam boards such as Edexcel want you linking to relevant contextual details. Therefore, we can forge a link between the harsh punishments meted out to wives in Shakespeare's time and the character of Lady Macbeth. Consider the early acts where her hectoring, belittling, outspoken denouncements of Macbeth and her dominant approach to Duncan's murder would appear all the more shocking to Shakespeare's original audience in 1606, precisely because of the way society at the time mistreated vocal wives, with the ducking stools, the scold's bridle and the like. And if you're considering a deranged Lady Macbeth in that final act of the play, when she's unravelling like a cheap jumper, we can adjust that contextual comment to consider how the original audience would expect to see a defiant, deviant, transgressive woman be punished, given the prevalence that we've talked about for the ducking stool and the scold's bridle. By the immeasurable genius of my fair hand, I have percolated all those ideas down into an examiner-pleasing contextual paragraph that would marry up beautifully with analysis of any of Lady Macbeth's dialogue from those early acts, Acts 1 and 2. Have a good go up. Pie and Mash, Scooby and Shaggy, Han and Chewie. If you're after the dream team, you will find this paragraph here provides the perfect accompaniment to any analysis you're doing of Lady Macbeth's monkey shines in Act 5. Again, scan your retinas over this beauty. You finished reading a lot of revision books. You may as well have been heading a kettlebell. Your brain hurts, you feel like you know less than before. I refuse to give my book the hard sell, but I'll tell you this, scores of my ex-students would gleefully agree that bits of this book help get them those level 7 to 9 grades we're all striving for.
And we're done. Our revels are now ended. Now, without a doubt, ducking stools and scold's bridles are barbaric instruments of social control and torture. But by God, do they earn their corn in that exam hall when packaged into pleasingly polished contextual paragraphs. And on that note, I'll leave you good people today and wish you the very best of luck in that exam hall.